So I'm going to begin right now, okay? All right. My name is Adolfho Romero. Today is February 18, 2023. And today we're here on behalf of the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program as part of the Resilience Family Festival. And today, who do I have the pleasure to be with?
My name is Margaret Forbes.
Okay.
My name is Madeline Wise.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here today. It is a great honor to have you here to discuss a little bit about the life of Mr. Solomon Calhoun. And today on the side, I'm going to have also another interviewer.
Ronan Hart.
All right, Ronan Hart, thank you. So to begin with, I want to know, do I have permission to record this interview?
Yes.
All right. Were you born in St. Augustine? Can you tell me a little bit about where were you born and raised?
Yes, I was born here locally in St. Augustine on the west side, only about 4 or 5 blocks away from this location. I attended R.J. Murray High School here, which is presently R.J. Middle School. R.J. Murray Middle School, yes.
What year did you attend?
I graduated in 1965.
Okay. And for you, Miss Madeline?
I was born and raised in Lincolnville. I went to Excelsior. It was Excelsior then. From 1st to 5th grade. Then they shipped us off to the white schools. I did go to Murray 1 year. But I was raised in Lincolnville, right there, Park Place, right down the street from the school. Park Place and Lovett.
Okay.
How would you describe the West Side in Lincolnville when you were children, like growing up there? What was the community like? What was just the experience of living there?
Okay. As I said earlier, I grew up on the West Side. I did not, I would say, spend a lot of time in Lincolnville, but I was familiar with it because I had a sister who lived on what is presently Martin Luther King. It was Central Avenue during those years. And but most of my time was on the West Side.
Well, we knew the people out west. Well, because after we left, after they closed Excelsior, we had to go to Murray to school before they integrated schools. So I knew a lot of people out west because we went to school with them. My mom was a substitute teacher at Murray. My aunt was a teacher at Murray. So like I said, we didn't really hang out west a whole lot. Because we were younger, so we kind of hung at the Gallimore Center because we had little dance halls over in Lincolnville. So we came out west to school and, hang out every now and then. But
okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences at Excelsior? How was it before it was integrated? How was the student body, the teachers? Were they caring for the students? What did you see there? How was your experience like?
But all of our teachers lived in our neighborhood, in our community, because we had Miss Gordon, stayed right there on Park Place, Mr. and Mrs. Larkins, Miss Kelton, Miss Simple, Miss Seniors. All of them lived right there in the community. And so you couldn't get in no trouble in school because they all knew your parents and everything. But it was really fun because, hey, we didn't have to catch a bus to school. We could just walk right, down the street to the school. So it was fabulous in our family. So, and my mom was a strong PTA person because with Excelsior, when we were growing up, in order for us to get a lot of things, our parents had to have a big PTA so they could raise funds. That's what kind of kept that school open as long as it did, because the parents had to work and come up with the money. The county wouldn't do it because they were determined to close it. So like I said, I went it all the way up to, I was in the last 5th grade class at Excelsior. As a matter of fact, we had a double class of 4th and 5th grade as they were steady getting rid of each class, sending us over to Orange Street.
Okay. Ms. Forbes, can you tell me a little bit about your experiences during your school days? Do you remember particularly any memories that you have? good or bad? I mean, just
All right. Okay. I have pleasant memories of my years at Murray High School. The teachers were very persistent that we work hard and doing the best that we could, because that was very important that you excelled in each subject. Mentioning Solomon Calhoun, his wife was my sponsor in the 12th grade. And they were persons that in our community, you could look forward to them doing good things. They looking after you and making sure that you did things that were right. And my mom was very strict with me. I didn't, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't spend a lot of time in Lincolnville because she kind of kept me self-contained. She wanted the best for me. And I'm pleased when I think back over the years that after leaving Murray, there was Florida Memorial College, or Florida Normal during those years across the street. So that's where I started my college experience there and continuing on to Miami, which is where the college relocated.
okay. Miss Madeline, how about yourself? How do you know Mr. Solomon Calhoun?
He was our principal. He was our mean principal. He was strict. He was strict. He didn't play the radio. You didn't talk back. When he told you to do something, you did it. I remember I teased my brother because they always ask me why I don't drink when we eating. I don't drink while we eating. I'm like, Mr. Calhoun didn't let you do that. You had to eat your vegetables, then you ate your starch, then you ate your dessert, then you got to drink your milk. And he stood over you, but he protected us. When he told you to do something, you did not live back, not unless you was brave. He was real strict, but everybody remember him because Excelsior was a fun school. It was fun because I tell people when you go in there now, when you used to walk in that door, it was a staircase that went straight upstairs. And like I said, he was strict even when we left Excelsior and we had to go to Orange Street. He was still, I can't remember what he was doing up there, but some white people had chased us from Orange Street. And we ran straight to him. We went straight to him and told him, and he got on that phone and called the police because it was still like, he was still responsible for us. So we know we could run up there and tell him anything.
So, Mrs. Forbes, you said that Mr. Calhoun's wife was your sponsor. What did that sponsorship mean for you in high school? How did that help you in school?
It made such a difference because if you having her there and making sure you did what was right, I would say, making sure that you followed through with whatever proceedings that were required of you, and giving thought to those years, that's how I was able to proceed on to college, having a sponsor to look out for us and making sure that we were obedient to the rules and regulations that were carried out in the school. And also just the fun activities that we would have. And she was one of the ones who made that possible. And there were two other teachers that were there as well, Mrs. Mills, and also there was another one, Johnny Mae Van, who's presently, she's still a survivor from those years. And they were just always on ball and on top and making sure that we followed the same way.
How do you feel the school system has changed from that time to now where we're at? Do you feel there's still that community oriented feeling, or is it, I'm not sure. That's something maybe that you could tell us a little bit about. How has it changed over time?
Well, we can see a bit of change, but not a whole lot. And as far as being in the school system, I'm not really familiar with a lot what's going on, but there's not the unity. I would say there's nothing to compare to what we experience as far as being together and showing the strength and support to one another. That's I can say that's at a distance for the community now. You don't have that. And but as an experience of the good days or the good times that we thought of being important, I still try my hardest as an individual to encourage that within my community.
Miss Madeline?
I see, when I went to Murray, because I only went 1 year, that was 7th grade.
Okay.
But like she was talking about sponsors, that doesn't exist. It didn't exist when, by the time I got to high school, and when I went to Murray to see my aunt, was a sponsor. Like what she's talking about, she was a sponsor of the class of '69. But they loved her. They loved their sponsors, and whatever their sponsors told them to do, they did it. Because my aunt died 2 years ago, but all those people that she was their sponsors, they pampered her. Everything they had, anything she needed, they followed her. Just like she said, Miss Van is still living. She's in the nursing home, and a lot of people, her kids, they consider them their kids, and they treat them like they were their parents because they had that utmost respect. And Murray, like I said, I only went there 1 year, but Murray was fun. That don't even sound right because you think, well, it was fun. It was different from Carolinas and St. Augustine High. Because I guess what it was, because we were made to go to Carolinas, we were made to go to St. Augustine High, something we didn't want to do. So it wasn't the same. I guess my biggest thing was you weren't treated the same as if you was at Murray, because like I said, everybody knew you. They knew your parents. So you didn't have to worry about nobody yelling or, calling you out your names or yanking on you or anything, because they knew your parents. So they knew they can go directly to your parents, whereas when we had to go to the white schools, it was like traumatized. It really was, because between dealing with the students that didn't want us there and then dealing with the faculty that didn't want us there, it was a no-win situation. I see my aunt, they made her go teach at Carolinas, but she taught 1 year and somebody called her a nigger. That got that. She quit teaching after that and went and worked for the post office because it just wasn't the same. You got used to her babies at the high school, and they moved her. It just wasn't the same.
Okay.
I remember her aunt. She was one of my teachers. She taught math. She was such a sweetheart, unforgettable person. And I can also remember she always walked everywhere she went. Yeah. She enjoyed walking. Sometimes if you see her and you stop and offer a ride, she may take one and she, go ahead, I'm all right. And I can remember they had a big celebration, or we held a big celebration for her in honoring her. And it was so amazing how she could remember every one of our names as we walked up. And she would say, oh yeah, Ann, and I said, oh, you remember my name? It was just so amazing to think that those many years after being in high school and to come back, and she remembered every one of us. Okay. A real sweetheart. Mm-hmm. Unforgettable.
Can you tell me a little bit about the neighborhood growing up here? Was it, was the community connected? How was it back then? And maybe even nowadays, I'm not sure if you live in the same location, but if you do you still have the same neighbors, different neighbors, or has the demographics changed over time? How does it look now?
I do reside in the same house.
Okay.
Well, it's not the same house because there was a different house, but then since then, during those years in comparison to, there is a difference. We have new neighbors now. I think maybe there's about 2 families that are still there. And our neighborhood is integrated now. And there is a difference in that way because when I'm out, if I walk out, I want to greet you and I want you to greet me in return. That's nice. And I think, I feel that's important because especially when I give thought to them having little people in their house, we want to support each other, because when it comes to children, you never know what they're going to do. The little infant, he may walk outside and if I'm there and I see him, I let them be aware of what's going on. And I feel like that is of importance, but there's a difference, a real difference.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I actually live in Jacksonville, but my brother lived in my mother's house on Lovett Street. It's changed, but Lovett Street, we still got quite a few African Americans stay on Lovett Street. I think we're about one of the only streets in Lincolnville still got at least 5 African Americans stay on it. But it's changed, like you say, because just like she just said, you couldn't even walk down the street and pass somebody and not speak. You'd have to get something thrown at you because that was just a part of the culture. You spoke, especially to seniors, whether you knew them or not, you spoke to them. Now, see, I still own my aunt's property, which is right around the corner from my mom's house on Washington Street. Well, that always was, it's on the lakeside. So the lakeside always was white. Black people never stayed on the lakeside. On the other side of the street, it was always partially black. So my aunt still, we still got the same neighbors there, but like she said, the neighborhood has changed drastically. I think about this. This happened with my brother a few months ago. A gentleman asked him why was he in the neighborhood, because he didn't belong there. And it was interesting. I told my brother, I said, well, did you tell him it didn't get like this until y'all got here? And he got offended at my brother, but it was like, but you need to go do your history. You moved in a community you don't even know, but this community was built by African Americans. So do your research when you start coming up in here. And I know it may look one way, but I tell people, when you say Lincolnville, that automatically means African Americans, because the African Americans is the one that gave it that name. So you can't talk about the Lincolnville and turn it white. Just because this is what you see, that's not what it is. We still built it. We the one did it. Unfortunately, civil rights was good in its own way, but I say this. It helped us in one way, but it hurt us in another way. We weren't quite ready for, okay, even though you can go to that store, but you still need to support this store. We just got where, we can go over here, so we're not gonna go over here anymore. So Lincolnville, as a matter of fact, we do the Lincolnville Festival this past year. We looked at all the businesses we had back in the day, and we came up with 64 businesses in Lincolnville. And it's just so interesting when you start looking at them. Well, what happened? What happened was people stopped going to these businesses because we no longer needed them. You know, one time we didn't have to even leave the neighborhood because we had everything we needed in the neighborhood. 3 funeral homes in one little neighborhood. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we had what we needed. But then when we got where we could go somewhere else, we forgot about the bridge that brought us over. And now we have actually one business in Lincolnville, African-American business. One. That's all we have. And that's kind of sad because we thought we had arrived. Well, I guess we did to a certain extent, but we forgot where we come from and how we got where we got. Because it just, and a lot of people moved away too after they graduated from school because there wasn't no opportunities, no jobs, and a lot of our black young men, they went in the military because they couldn't get any jobs. So, like I say, so now we look back and come back and, wow. So we tried.
That's right. Okay. The following question, going back a little bit to Mr. Solomon, what do you when this place was constructed, this community center, how did the community feel about it, about this center right here where we're standing right now?
I would think that everybody was truly excited about it, but when I come out here, I don't see my people here.
Really?
When it comes to using the facilities, no. I guess some events, yes, but I think more of our people, I don't know whether it's because they're not welcome or whether it's just been dominated by occasions. I don't know, but when I pass here en route to go to other locations, When I see the pool, I don't see my people there. When I come out to walk in the morning, it was so surprising to see that there were persons, students, I don't know, I guess they were from St. Augustine High, that were in the swimming pool.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't see anyone of color there. When we would walk around the bend and round and about, there were groups, I don't know what organization they participated in, but I did not see anybody of color. Why? I don't know. I didn't, I just didn't think it was me to investigate, but I just felt like it wasn't a good scene.
What was the question again?
Okay, so the question would be, how did the Solomon Calhoun affect your community? The center itself, or him as, or what impact did he have in the community? Let's go with that.
He was our principal.
Principal.
Well, because like I said, I lived in Lincolnville, and see, Mr. Calhoun lived out west. So didn't he have a store out here?
There was out at the end of St. John, there's a location, I think, some stores are there, but it was a combined, like, I guess like a number of teachers were in possession of that location, that store. It's still there. I understand they have a restaurant there now on the corner of King and St. John's. There's a location, a strip.
Because like I said, I grew up in Lincolnville, so, the weekend, Mr. Vickers was out. We hung out at the little link, so we didn't really have a whole lot of dealings with him like the weekend. All our dealings was with him during the week. And like the Calhoun Center, I don't really hang out with.
Okay.
Well, because, I live in Lincolnville. Well, we do all our stuff in Lincolnville because our organization is primarily Lincolnville, the history and the people of Lincolnville, because they have been so neglected over the years, and like now, just to keep them informed in simple things that's going on in the community. Like I say, we had a town hall this morning just for the purpose of letting them know what's happening in Lincolnville, because West Augustine have a lot of stuff going on. And the only problem with West Augustine and Overtown, a lot of African American people are not on the internet, they're not on Facebook, so they don't know when stuff is happening until they walk out the door and see it. What I did with my organization, I sent out letters. Because I actually know everybody in Lincolnville, so I sent out letters to all the African American families in Lincolnville to let them know when something is going on so they can be informed. And I think that's one of our biggest problems, just like she was saying about when you come out here and look at the center, this is what you see because they're the ones that utilize it. And even though once upon a time, our black churches, they were really involved in the community, so they kept you up on what was going on because you knew what was happening because churches supported each other. They let you know what was going on in the community. So that's when they supported each other. But like now, you kind of on your own. You just have to, if you're not on Facebook or social media, it's kind of hard for you to know what's going on in this center or even in Lincolnville. And it's a lot really going on, but it's hard to get the people out. That's why I say I was proud of my people this morning and that I actually had at least 30 African American people come to this town hall meeting because it's so hard to get them to come out because I think they have their spirits kind of got beaten down where it's like, I'm not fooling with that. I don't want to be bothered with that, But I'm saying, that's okay, I'm going to keep on trying because y'all don't have to roll over and play dead because the people done come in and decided, we got a community full of people from New York that has taken over Lincolnville. You don't have to roll over and play dead. Come out and sit on your porches and enjoy your community like you've been before. But you don't even see them sitting on their porches like they used to. Just go down the street, like you say, and you will see people all the time because people was outside. But now it's like ghost town.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about your organization, Ms. Madeline? You mentioned.
Oh, it's the Lincolnville Historical Preservation and Restoration Society. We started it in 2017. Well, what we were going to do, my classmates, we were going to buy a house over in Lincolnville and turn it into an Airbnb. But God said, that's not what I told you to do. I told you to go and take care of your people. So we started the organization based on being able to keep the people informed, get them involved in what's going on in their community, because I'm also on the board of the LCRA, where, the city has funding. Right now, we're working on the Halen Park and talking to the people in the community of what they want, the improvements with the Halen Park, improvements in Lincolnville, but keeping our African-American look in place, not destroying it. But that's a part of our organization, like I said, and looking out for our seniors, knocking on the door, hey, do you all need anything? Or maybe if they need their house painted. The city has funds to do a lot of stuff, but things the organization could do, because sometimes you go to businesses and let them do pro bono work and they'll do this. So just mainly making sure they're taken care of and they understand everything that's going on, with taxes and everything, because how sometimes seniors get stuff in the mail and they don't really understand it and they'll just sit it to one side, and before you know it, here they're taking your property and you got to, 24 hours, get out, because they didn't understand what they read. So, we kind of tell them, call us. If you don't understand anything, if we don't know, we will find out. Because we tried to save the Echo House. It was last called the Echo House, but it used to be the old Buckingham Smith by the museum. And that's some property. I don't know if the city's ashamed of the fact that Mr. Buckingham owned slaves or what it was, but the city approved it to be torn down, even though it was a historical building. We tried to save it, and we should have been able to, but like I said, the city managed to go ahead and tear it down, because if you go look at that property right now today, you don't see absolutely anything on that property about Buckingham Smith. But he the one left the funds to build that for the seniors, the older black people when they got older and they couldn't take care of themselves. He left funds for them to build this for them. And if you look at the blueprints, it looked like a country club. Wow. And like I said, now you go look at the lot, it's just an empty lot. And we had such good history. And see, that's a part of what we're trying to do now. Make sure they stop destroying, because like I said, I'm on the LCRA board. National says that Lincolnville is historical. The city doesn't say Lincolnville is historical. We had to find that out because the city kept saying we are historical. But when we called National said not based on the city, because the city would not allow all those historic properties to be torn down if they considered it historical. So that's where we're at now, because we had 600 structures that was historical, and now we're down to like 260, because the city just kind of is, and nobody had been paying any attention. So that's why it was so easy for them to get away. But we had to do a lot of homework. We had to get on the phone. And so that's why I was saying, looking out for our community, because now they are saying, they're not supposed to be able to tear down historical properties. And the bulk of Lincolnville was historical, the homes. Like now, we're fixing up the churches. Now, we're putting good money in the churches. Now in Lincolnville, we have increased, we got the SHIP program. Well, we just increased the funding for the homes in Lincolnville, where we could spend up to $50,000 to help them repair. But see, now West Augustine, they have those programs, but I can't tell you how theirs function, because it's different from Lincolnville. Like she was talking about the septic system. Corrine Brown fought and brought money in West Augustine years ago to get these people off of septic out here. What happened to the money? And see, that's what, if you don't start asking questions or making a lot of noise, you're not going to find out. You're going to be sitting here wondering, wonder what happened to that. And see, that was our point with our organization. We need to speak on behalf of the people, because so many of them, they're not going to understand, because I don't know if y'all ever went to a city meeting in St. Augustine, but the city have 50,000 meetings, and you got to pick and choose which one you think is more important, go talk about what you want to hear. Then you go sit in the meeting, and you be sitting there all day waiting to get to what you want to hear, and people don't want to do that. And then you get up, you still don't get any results. I'm just saying this, let me say this one thing, because we did a thing about an overlay. Well, the young lady talked about it today. She says she don't know where the paperwork is. It's probably sitting up under somebody's papers on their desk. I say, so that means basically if we want to get this overlay in place to prevent them from building everything they want in Lincolnville, I guess the people of the Lincolnville community are going to have to go downtown and say, city leaders, where's this paperwork to put this overlay in place? Because apparently the city don't want to do this. But Lincolnville, if anybody knows anything about Lincolnville, it looks totally different.
Wow.
Totally different. Okay, and it's sad because you could have kept some of the historic look. The history is shrunk between all these big old Taj Mahals. You know, Taj Mahal over here and over here. You sit right, down in there. That's not good. That's not good. And the city should be kind of ashamed of themselves, but I guess it's about money. Bottom line, it's about money.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Ms. Forbes, I might have misheard you. Did you say you went to a normal school, or did you become an educator after your college? Okay, I think okay, you did. So, do you think?
Sorry.
I was going to ask if your education in West St. Augustine and the teachers you had are kind of what inspired you to follow that track.
Okay. All right. From high school, as I said earlier, I mentioned earlier, I proceeded on to Florida Memorial, which was right across the street. And after they relocated down to Miami, I followed there. And after completion of school there, I moved back home and seeking employment, of course, and I was hired St. Johns County Schools. I taught at Juleton Creek Elementary School on the borderline.
I'm from
St. John
5 minutes
Duval.
from there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was there at the elementary school because back in the day it was kind of like woody area, to see it now. It was a nice experience. We had a carpool that I gathered with them. Of course, during that time I was the only one of color at the school. But everything worked out with our carpool. We would take turns on driving up. And spending 2 years there, I got married and I moved to the Bahamas. And from there, I've been gone away from home for 25 years, residing there. But I would come back to visit with my family, holidays, Christmas, not Thanksgiving, but usually Christmas and summertime, I would come and spend time here. So hearing things that were mentioned about the community, I wasn't quite familiar with all the things that were going on while I was away. And but like you made mention about the sewage system that has been in act, I don't know what the continuation of it is now, but I do know that the street that I'm residing on, that has taken place. We do have the sewage system there. But things seem to be moving slowly, but I'm just in hope that it will kind of speed up, because there are so many things that I view that could be done, like traffic lights, because I noticed they just constructed a store on Volusia Street, returning off King, and I think, viewing that, the possibility of troubles, accidents, because the traffic light is needed there. And continuing on, giving thought when we making mention of things that are going on here, we have a group that we've established, the R.J. Murray High Alumni Fundraiser Association, And our group had started out to raise funds to aid R.J. Murray Middle School football team. A couple of the guys that are in our group noticed that when he attended the football game, that the children didn't have proper uniforms, and to focus back on the years when they were football players, it was a necessity that everybody matched up. You know, everybody had the same colors, and to view the present team, it didn't apply. And we found out that the school was not funded for football. So being that that's the case, this is why we have organized this group to aid the school, the players in purchasing them helmets so that all the players can have uniform helmets and the outfits as well. So we're really excited about that. We're approaching different ones who are able to assist us financially so that we can build up the finances to support Murray Middle School football team. Okay.
That's excellent.
Okay.
Any question?
Any other comments that we might have missed on Mr. Solomon? Do you have any other memories, or I guess what I'm trying to get to, I'm thinking here, because on his resume we do see that he was also part of Excelsior. I don't know if there's any information during your time, you know, to commemorate him, but he was still around, so I'm not sure if that came after years down the road, where they had more images, more illustrations about who he was. Do you remember him as through FAMU? What are your memories? You mentioned as a principal, but Mr. Calhoun, he did a lot of other things outside of that Hall of Fame at FAMU, etc. So I just want to see what other details you might have on him or recollections on his memory that you were told by families or teachers, community members, anyone. And that's okay.
Because like I said, we didn't know him. Well, we knew everybody, but we didn't, like on the weekends and stuff.
Okay.
You know, you were, by him being out west, so like I said, we were over town, but we just know him from, you know, like I said, Excelsior. And you know, I look at Gail at Excelsior because we used to have, one thing we did have at Excelsior, we used to have plays up there. We used to have plays where it's a stage. If you go in there now, Gail and them is working on putting that back together. And we had fun at Excelsior because we got to act, but you don't even see this exist in schools now. But it was just something as part, because we had the outfits made. Miss Dorothy Thornton made our little angel outfits, and you know, it was just the cutest thing. And I say that's one of the memories I want to do when Gail get the museum, that area fixed back up upstairs where the stage, the auditorium was, is to, you know, do a play, one of them little children plays with the wings. And you know, back then you could talk about God in school, but you know, now that's another story. But I mean, we had God-fearing people. Like I said, Mr. Calhoun wasn't scared of your parents either. So there wasn't no sense in you telling your mama to go up there and say something to Mr. Calhoun, because he was your parent when you was in his school. And your parents didn't go up there fussing with Mr. Calhoun. They said yes, sir, too. Okay. And left it at that. But he was really good. He was firm. We call it mean. But it was firm, because you catch some people. I wish the other young lady hadn't left and let her tell you about how when she cut up. We got beats with washing machine. You know them cars off the back of the washing machine. You know, just cut them in half, and you held your head out, and they hit you in it. Your hand turned red. That's what we got beats with. Call it child abuse all you want to, but man, it was what it kept us in line. And I think we turned out the way we did because of all the disciplinarians we had as teachers. And they weren't just in school. They saw you do something outside of school time. They could say something to you and they would.
That's true. Yeah, because if you did something wrong and your mom's friend saw it, you're going to get it when you get home. And during those times, your parents may punish you, but the friends had permission to do so as well. They would chastise you and let you know, go home, you know, your mama don't want you here. and you followed suit because that was of importance. And don't think that she's going to call and tell your mommy she's not going to do anything because you're going to get chastised. So, and I just feel like you say, child abuse. You know, we were upset over things that happened to us, and then we know that when the schools were integrated, these things were not put into act anymore, because we were told that because of the cross and color, and you know that the black teachers could not punish the child, and just a lot of things that we give thought to that took place because of integration. And, you know, like you said earlier, when you think about it, some things were enriching for us, but some things were damaging to us with the crossover.
I know we talked a little while ago about the disconnection between the Solomon Community Center and the Black community. What recommendations would you give to the folks at the community center? How can they reach to the Black community, the folks that have lived here, you know, from one generation to the next, to, you know, to bring them in here? Or what should happen? Or what's your opinion on that? And
well, I feel that I don't know who's in charge, who's taking leadership on doing this, but I feel that they should make persons in the community aware of the availabilities here as far as activities, and hopefully that would encourage them to come in. And not, I don't know if they come in, if they're being denied, but I have heard that when it comes to activities within the school, persons don't participate a lot because they can't afford the charges or the fees that that are placed upon them in order to become a member of various activities in school. Just an example, as a cheerleader, you know, some of these things that they want to participate, but they can't afford it.
right.
You know, and especially today, you know, you just don't have the funds for it. And the state or the county, they don't fund these events or activities. So that, I feel like that's a reason why you find that some students of color don't participate.
Like, you know what? Back in the day, our parents got out there and worked for when we had to participate, because the county didn't fund our stuff. Our parents got out there and worked, and if they had to wash cars or sell fish, like you said, sweet potato turnover. If they had to do that in order for us to participate in stuff, they went out there and did that. Like I said with Excelsior, in order to keep it open, the PTA, our parents were the PTA, they got out there and did what they had to do to keep it open. But like I said, now,
They're not funded. I mean,
parents don't want to get out there and work. They want everything to fall on the system, and the system can't afford everything that's going on now. So unless you reach out, I mean, even once upon a time, you know, back in the day, you went to the churches would help fund things. So now that don't work anymore. So it's just one of them things. Just, I don't know, because like she said, things are expensive to participate in, but they figured out a way for us to participate. The band, because you know they had that Marching 100. That's what word was called, the Marching 100.
So it seems that the church played a big key back in the day, not the same as it is right now. Is that correct, or how have things changed from the church end to now?
but you know, from my understanding, most of the ministers that are here within our local churches, they're not local. They're from others, neighboring cities.
Okay.
So maybe that makes a difference too. I don't know, but I do know that most of the churches have their leaders are from different cities in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, just like she said, they're not from St. Augustine, because churches back in the day, they supported one another. I tell people, I went to a Baptist church. Every fifth Sunday, all Baptist churches closed down, and you had to go to that one church where the union was at. That's how I do a lot of people from West Augustine, Pick a Ladder, Spuds and Hastings, because we all went to that one church on Fifth Sunday. But they supported each other. They didn't have stuff. Everybody had something the same Sunday. You had something this Sunday, and they invited other churches. They sent letters to the other churches and invited them. But that's done away. It's like she said, I think it's because the pastors, they feel like their job is to come and pastor, not be a part of the community, because a lot of them are not a part of the communities. You know, they come on Sunday, but anything going on during the week, you don't really see a lot of them at it.
Okay. All right. So with that, are there any last comments before we conclude? Okay. So with that said, we're going to be concluding.
Thank you two so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure meeting you, Ms. Madeline and Ms. Forbes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking your time.
Thank you for this privilege.
They're packing out there.
Yeah, they are.